Aloha guys, welcome to JRTV, Hawaii, in search of truth, equality, and world peace. And this is my part 3 on a special on criminality. You know, this is such a nice area that we're in, but guess what? The dark side is not far away at all. Even people living in seemingly enjoyable life experiences. Maybe they're in an occupation they don't like, maybe they're with a spouse they don't like. Statistics show. And so we need to protect ourselves in unique ways. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my last points here on this issue, and I just want to appreciate you for joining me. Alright, so let's just watch the sun. Maybe we can watch the volleyball game over here while I break this down. Alright, so everyone take a deep breath with me. And that's the beginning of it. That's the beginning of conflict. It would be a verbal tension and then leads to physical conflict. Or maybe it's crazy people and they attack you. But whatever it is, you have to breathe in order to think clearly and rationally. Manipulators want you to get excited, angry, or happy, and that affects your breathing. Okay? So breathe, because it's not you that's upset, it's not even another person that's making you angry, it's that you're not breathing properly. Alright? So, in fact, I'm just going to do an ocean shot here. Just come with me, we'll do a nice ocean shot here. One moment. Hello guys, I told you I was going to get the ocean, and here we are. Alright, so let me just break it down here. So, not everyone is even in a position to either promote justice or to report criminals. So, a lot of crime goes unreported and unknown. You know, be it people, victims of domestic abuse, be it, you know, people who are just, you know, family, or have family and their job, and they just can't afford to help, you know, anyone else. They can't afford to do anything else. You know, so they like can't afford to risk being vulnerable to somebody trying risk being vulnerable to somebody who is what should I say potentially would take vengeance for them. You know, reporting them. You know, even like I used to get upset at, like, perhaps YouTube or different, you know, the government or whomever for like maybe being overly censoring and everything. But you can, you know, all these people are probably threatened by, like, you know, the Illuminati or whatever you want to call it. Like, not everyone is even in a position to, like, oftentimes you're not even in a position yourself to, you know, report potential crimes against you, because that person might retaliate even 10 years after they gotten out of prison or whatever it is. Another thing that's important is to be able to, you know, have your basic needs, like have cash on hand. I recommend maybe a few $100s, maybe some money in small bills so you can give to the poor, or maybe like a 20 so you can break up altercations. You know, sometimes people who are fighting or arguing are just very poor, so if you give them like 20 or $50, you know, it'll allow it'll diffuse the situation. You know, you want to be able to do stuff like take a crap on the ground, or a piss instead of having to go into like an unsafe place, their dirty bathroom to do that. You know, you have to be always mobile and tactical. What else? No personal pictures. You know, you don't want personal pictures and information, particularly of perhaps your spouse or children. You don't want that stuff on the internet. You know, you don't want people to know your personal lives. You know, even if you're in the military, like, how are you positioned to go to war if you're married? You know, or have a family? And furthermore, you know, we need, before we try to help other countries, and I'm not talking about like emergency aid, but like all this like trying to promote democracy in other countries, be it partially good, be it partially bad, like trying to acquire resources like oil, whatever it is. Like, dude, we have a lot of problems in the US. We have domestic violence, like I was suggesting, and so on and so forth. So we need resources allocated to that. And even if that means like the military patrolling the streets, I say great. I say, and by the way, we should not be depending, okay, upon the police or the military or whomever to protect us, because that actually puts them in a vulnerable position. You know, that's not fair to them. So don't go out after dark. You know, don't look rich and be a target unless you're in a safe, private environment. You know, part of being it's almost a way of, if you're respectful, then it's laws of the jungle. It's less likely that criminals will target you. Like if you're ignorant and just walk around like nonchalantly and casually, it's like disrespecting criminals who are dangerous and angry and could easily rob or target you. You know, so it's a bit of a laws of the jungle. Like, respect the fact that there are dangerous people out there, and there are people who, even if you've got pepper spray, even if you have a handgun, they can outmaneuver you. You know, they might have a knife, etc., etc. Always assume people are armed and dangerous until proven otherwise. What else? Let's see, what else do I got going on here? You know, people who are nice and conscientious, they just want to be friendly, and so they become vulnerable to these different criminals, because the criminals are mean, and so people just want to appease them so that they'll be friendly again. But the truth is that they end up just continuing to be mean and victimizing the individuals. And like I was saying on part 1, I believe, was it's not the prostitute's fault for if you put all the responsibility on the person who hires them or victimizes women, etc., then it takes power away from the victim. You put power in the victim's hands by saying, you know what, they can take some responsibility. Maybe they were what's the word? Maybe they were, all right, like I was saying, maybe, okay, so just, you know, they could have been dressing conspicuously or suggestively. They could have seduced the man with their looks, just like the man seduced her with his money, etc., etc. Furthermore, what else? Don't instigate people. You know, it can be easy on Facebook to act rude and stuff, and when people are at least moderately wealthy, they might not take into consideration that it's useful to take the time to connect with your neighbors and to make efforts to be friendly and initiate friendly gestures, at least with people who seem that they might reciprocate it. You know, it's basically the minor conflicts of the 99 percentile of people who are are worried about stuff like, oh, you know, my food didn't taste, I overcooked my dinner, or, you know, that person was rude to me on social media, or etc., etc. All this stuff is trivial compared to the real issues going on in the world. But let me say that let me continue by saying that, you know, when you're walking around in public, you want to glance at people's feet, not at their eyes, because you might upset them if you look at their eyes. Glance at their feet to see where people are. Keep your distance from people. Let's see. You know, and realize that these conflicts between ourselves, the 99th percentile, these small acts of violence, for example, seducing people, non-veganism, you know, this is the beginning of greater things like murder and adultery and so on. You know, parents, teach your kids to not be vulnerable. Don't call them boy, girl, or honey. Call them woman or by their first name, and address them more formally. Teach them independence. Teach them to be able to identify danger, and don't assume that they can either. You know, just you need to look out for them. You know, this idea of sending your kids to all these, you know, schools with older people, especially, you know, younger boys and girls with older, you know, people. It's just, I don't get it. I believe in gender separate schooling, at least till 18, and then maybe people are old enough where they can have the maturity to intermingle. I think it should be against the law to have any intimacy under the age of 18, so only at their 19th birthday. And think about it. It's like, well, what, people, you know, a person of 14 can't have sex with an 18-year-old, but they can have sex with another 14-year-old. Like, it just, the laws need to be more clear. Just like there's vagary about boyfriend, girlfriend, and half-heartedness instead of no intimacy until marriage. Like the gray area just allows for more conflict, and it's like, you know, and it's not that, you know, drugs and prostitution are like necessarily that bad. It's that the people who do them are generally bad, you know, manipulative, you know, greedy people, you know. So continuing on, people, you know, might try to be nice to you or get physically close to you, get you in their car, invite you for a ride, invite you for dinner. All this stuff, believe it or not, can lead to manipulation. What else do we have? We have, you know, a lot of times, like I was saying earlier, you can't afford to get involved in conflicts of people because it might end up to them wanting to attack you, unless that person's like family, unless they share your values, you know, like dream team, true family, unless they, you know, like, ask yourself, would you really sacrifice your life for someone? It only makes sense if the person would perpetuate the values that you hold within yourself, you know. So all this considered, you know, also this idea of masturbation, essential to second chakra activation. You know, we shouldn't be showing off our bodies, like even kids, you know, students, boys and girls in showers. It's just not appropriate. We need to be aware of the LGBT community, and that it's like a limitation, and it can create conflict between the collectives of men and women, boys and girls. So be aware of all these things. I think people should be identified with wristbands that show if they're bisexual, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, let's like take it to all the extreme. All the way, one extreme is there's violence in the world and bad people. Well, how about we be extremely good, both as individuals and in turn a country, a family, country, and so on. Aloha guys, thank you for tuning in. Take care.